Hi guys, this is gsno.com and I'm here with one of the most interesting mid-range phones of the year 2021, the Moto G60. It was launched in April this year. It's priced at around $300 or so, and it's one of the most interesting handsets out there because it offers quite a few appealing features which not even flagships have. For example, there's a huge 6000 mAh battery inside. Here we have a 108 megapixel back camera and the refresh rate is high 120 Hz. We have a 4K capable front camera and also an LED flash for the front camera. And you can even find this handset at only $250 in some regions, maybe even less. One of the best bang for the buck phones of the year 2021. 8nm CPU and a lot of promise from the camera package. The design isn't half bad. Let's take down the case here. This case is transparent and flexible, bundled with the phone for free. And this is the back side, made of plastic, but a good looking one, with a slight mirror finish. And it really catches the eye. This hue is called Dynamic Gray. There's also one called Frosted Champagne. Okay, so let's activate the device. It's already been set up, don't worry. And let's see what else we get inside the box aside from the handset and its case. We have the juridic info here, a leaflet with the guide, and also the key used to access the slots. Then we go further and we find the cable from USB-C to USB-A and a charger which promises 20-watt charging as it's written right here. It has an USB-A connector and I guess we'll have to see how long it takes to juice up that huge 6000 mAh battery. This one here is the version with 6 gigs of RAM and 120 gigabytes of storage, dynamic gray, and let's get back to the phone. Now, it's pretty massive, it weighs 225 grams, but if you compare it to an iPhone with a similar weight, it's better distributed because it's a long phone and also quite narrow, as you can tell by my thumb and how easy it moves from left to right. Decently easy to use with a single hand, considering we have a huge 6.8-inch diagonal here. It's made of plastic for the back, quite curved on the sides, but with a nice grip, I would say. And if you want another measurement, 9.8 millimeters in thickness. I know it's beefy, but it's justified by the large battery. The plastic case you see here has one advantage, it's water repellent. Now, the display panel here is an IPS LCD, 6.8 inches, Full HD Plus and 120 Hz refresh rate, as well as HDR10. Videos should look nice on Netflix and YouTube. At the top side you can see the punch hole, and moving further we go inside the phone, where we're going to find the familiar processor, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 732G. It's an 8nm CPU of the octa-core kind, which was also found on the Poco X3 NFC and the Redmi Note 10 Pro. In the current case, it's accompanied by 6 gigs of RAM, LPDDR4X and 120 gigabytes of storage, but there are also versions with more from what I remember. The storage is UFS 2.1 in case you're wondering, and guess what? We also get a micro SD card slot for storage expansion. This is the selling point, 6000 mAh battery with 20-watt charging. Now, a quick gander around the areas of the phone. On the left side, we have the SIM tray here. On the top side, we have the audio jack and also microphone. On the right side, this is the, as you can see, Google Assistant button, physical one, volume buttons, and the slightly reached power button. While at the bottom we find the speaker, which is a solitary one. There's no stereo speakers here, USB-C port and another mic. Okay, that's pretty much it. And if you want to talk about the connectivity, I think we're going to go here and analyze it. It's a pretty basic package. We're only dealing with 4G connectivity. There's no love for 5G here. Wi-Fi dual band. We also have Bluetooth 5.0 on the device, GPS, GLONASS and so forth for localization. NFC for payments, and even FM radio should be part of the package, if I remember correctly. Yes, FM radio is here, and USB-C 2.0. And now the cameras. The front one is possibly the most interesting because it's a 32 megapixel shooter which films in 4K and has its own flash. Okay, so let's maybe try to activate it. Here we go, that's the icon, and I promised you before the flash. It's in torch mode right now. It's very well disguised. It's pretty discreet in its integration. And that's that. So once again, 32 megapixel, 4K filming, its own hidden flash, and we go to the back side for a triple camera array, with the star of the show being definitely the 108 megapixel shooter with f1.9 aperture. It has 0.7 micron pixels, and it can take things up to 2.1 micron with the ultra pixel technology. And we also have face detection autofocus. Next up is the 8 megapixel ultra wide camera with the 118-degree angle of catching images and f2.2 aperture, and finally a smaller 2 megapixel shooter for your bokeh needs, coupled with this dual tone dual LED flash here, and this cam films in 4K at 30 frames per second as well. Now, as you can see, I'm using the fingerprint scanner at the back side. Let me just use it again. So as I put my finger here, I just unlock the phone. Now if you want to check out the camera UI, you're going to find familiar options if you've seen a Motorola phone for the past 2 years. Spot color, panorama, live filter, cutout and cinemagraph, full resolution 108 megapixel shots with document scanning, portrait, night vision, group selfies, and a pro mode. Dual capture is also part of the package, and these are the dimensions you can alternate between 1x zoom, ultra wide, and macro, which is obviously done either with the ultra wide camera or simply via software, because we don't have a macro camera, we have a bokeh camera here. Some extra options here, and for the video department, this is the area where we switch your aspect ratio, stabilization, and resolution. Let's see. Nope. 60 frames per second only works in Full HD, not in 4K. As far as the software goes, it's a typical Motorola affair. It's stock Android 11, and I'm pretty curious how fast it will receive Android 12. And as usual, Motorola gets involved with this area here, the My UX, so you can do a bunch of personalization with your fonts, colors, icon shapes, layout, and more. Then there are the display features. You can go here, pick display and attentive display, which serve to replace the always on display, and you have some features here for the game time, for gamers, and audio effects if you want to do some tweaking at the bottom speaker. Here are the equalizers you get to play with. Well, that's pretty much it. It's one of those long narrow phones, haven't seen one in a while. It's prone for video consumption, that's the vibe I'm getting here. Here we go. Let's actually access YouTube and get a better view at it. Okay, so once again, it's prone for video consumption, especially in a landscape mode. And aside from that, I think it's also pretty good for gaming, considering the refresh rate, and the processor inside isn't exactly half bad for that purpose. And speaking of screen and resolution and refresh rate and all that, you go here, it's set to auto. You can set it to 60 Hz or 120 Hz if you want things to be a bit smoother. This has been it, the first contact with the Moto G60. They really threw it out of the park this time. High refresh rate, large battery, 100 megapixel camera, 4K filming with the front cam. It's a Galaxy A rival, which is cheaper than the Galaxy A52, which it can compete with it easily, and that's one nice selling point. That's it from us. Bye bye.